We're live now. Uh-oh, did I make it live in the middle of your lunch?
Not quite.
Tamby.
Yellow.
Yellow, how's it going?
I don't know why I'm so dark.
Oh, did I make it live in the middle of your lunch?
Really dark and really yellow. I don't know.
Have you been eating a lot of carrots there?
No, I haven't. Not at all. I haven't had a carrot in like a year, which is probably
Any pumpkin spice lattes?
Oh God, no! I will sign off if you say that again.
You're a man of strong convictions, Tammy.
I'm not one of those people.
You're not basic.
Oh God, no.
David Crane's joining us. Excellent. Good to have you here. We've got we're up to 5 viewers so far.
Is that a record high?
Yeah. It just keeps getting higher, Tamby. It's hard to cap it. It's out of control. Do
we have animators joining us or any special guests at KB?
No, we do not, because everybody is working on overdrive to get everything done.
Yeah, makes sense. That's probably my fault.
So we're basically you and me are riding solo, Matt, and with
it's going to be
Tammy in the what do you call the sidecar with Tammy in the sidecar. And first time streaming, great, David. That's awesome. Normally it works. I know.
Matt's gone, so it's just me and you.
Yeah. Matt's gone. Whatever. You know, people don't.
I'll probably duck out soon too. So you know.
I'm just gonna hang here and hum a tune. Mark Rosenthal's here. Great to have you. Yeah, good. I'm glad that 2:30 is a better time for some people. Like, basically, we were trying to do after work, but I couldn't. Like the 6 o'clock ones, I can't organize for my own.
It's like nighttime now at 6. So
yeah. And then so good. If this works for some people better than the 1 o'clocks, we can definitely vary it up as long as it's during like some kind of work hours. So yeah, we'll definitely try to do that because it's nice to see people on the call who normally can't join us. So yeah, we're heading into the holidays, and we've had a busy run of episodes and a busy end-year run of trying to stay on track and get all our episodes up. And yeah, that's a great thing. Mark says he really appreciates that you guys do what we do to broaden scientific literacy. It's really kind of you. Thank you. And yeah, we're just hanging now. And if anybody's got any physics questions, or if anybody's got and Matt, I wanted to ask you that we should try to get Drew on another one of these calls.
Yeah, we should. That's easy to do. We'll get him next time for sure.
Yeah. I ran into him at Mike Rugnetta's farewell bash, and he talked my ear off about a number of interesting topics. So it would be fun to have him on.
Passionate person about regarding anything astronomy that I've ever met in my life, awesome. including myself. Hey Joseph, welcome.
Good to see you.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, I had like 2 or 3 like solid questions, and I completely forgot them. So right now, I got nothing. Like one was important shit. I read articles or question based on that. Like it was really robust stuff, and I just lost all of it.
A lot's happened since the last time one of these calls happened.
I know. It's been a little too long, so I apologize.
I'm blaming you, basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So the questions don't build up; they dissipate. All right. Good to know.
Joe, do you have anything you want to throw in? Any questions about? I
mean, we can.
Yeah, you want to take it, Matt?
We can also talk about what we're doing. We'll give you guys like an extra insight that the rest of the Patreons may or may not get regarding where we're at and what's upcoming. And So at the moment, we just did a whole bunch of stuff on nature of the vacuum, virtual particles, and all of that. And this is all, I mean, it's interesting stuff in itself because the vacuum is freaking weird and worth doing. But I originally wanted to get around to doing UNRRA radiation and Hawking radiation. UNRRA radiation is, but it's closely related to Hawking radiation. And I realized that we needed to do a little bit of quantum field theory, talk about virtual particles, and then radiation. But it turns out quantum field theory itself has to be a whole sequence, and then turns out to have to be a whole sequence. So we're kind of approaching the end of that, if not at the end. The episode I'm working on right now, which will be filmed tomorrow, something that I think is really fun. It was originally again going to be one episode on this UNRRA radiation thing, but that required this explanation of how the vacuum needs to be represented as an infinite number of particles, or rather an infinite number of waves, which are perfectly balanced so that you get a vacuum. And then when you try to transform between and say accelerating frame or, God forbid, near a black hole, the vacuum not behave and not sort of transform properly. And that led to this realization that when you talk about representing the vacuum as this infinite series of waves, essentially particles, you get the uncertainty principle. And the uncertainty principle just falls out like it makes perfect sense just from talking about that. To hell with that, we need to do an episode. The principle is talking about how waves add together to represent particles or the vacuum. So that's tomorrow, and that should be released in what, 4th of
2 weeks
6th?
from tomorrow.
It's
Basically, 2 weeks basically. I think, because we've got robot. We gotta determine the exact title of tomorrow's episode, but we've got Robot Martyrs of Science or Suicidal Space Robots, depending on what we want to title it.
Oh wow!
And then we've got next week. We've got Citizen Science and the answer to the challenge question, and then the following week will be the uncertainty principle. The kickoff, building up to Hawking radiation, if that's
right. Yeah, and so Hawking radiation will come. I mean, we may get to it by the end of the year. There's a real good chance. If not, it'll be early January. And every chance it'll be more than one episode, but we'll see.
Multiple arc episodes are what we're getting to be all about. I mean, I'm all for it. Yeah. So,
how do you guys feel about us dragging our feet and stretching out these ideas over multiple episodes? What's your like maximum number of episodes on a topic before you start to think, oh, okay, let's move on?
It depends on how interested I'm in the topic, but I've always kind of wondered how Hawking radiation actually works, because it always seemed to be something that was trying to solve a problem that I don't think I quite understood.
Yeah. And part of the problem with Hawking radiation is this pop sci description of galactic particle pairs appearing above the event horizon and the other escaping is complete bullshit. I mean, really. And as far as I can tell, no one's ever done.
Whoa, keep it PG. Keep it PG.
I have some strong feelings about this.
No, let's go R with this.
Let's go all in. So we'll see if we can make it make a little bit of sense.
Yeah,
5 is a nice mini-series. That I kind of agree with that, actually.
Yeah. I think we probably see a little bit of dip around 4 or 5, but I still feel like it's a strong, I mean, like if the content justifies that's how long it should be, then that's how long it should be. I think 3 is maybe the perfect number for maintaining, you know, basically fresh viewership and, you know, numbers and stuff like that. But it's not always about servicing numbers as much as it is the getting across the concepts in a clear, comprehensive manner. Like about before with like when we broke up Dark Energy even into even more, that ended up with a 5-part series. So
how far out is the pipeline like planned really? Like, do you have ideas for like?
So the main arcs are planned, you know, a good amount in advance, but until they're written, it's hard to say how long they'll be.
Like I'm just curious, like what are the, if you could like just kind of rattle off like some upcoming topics in general, just out of curiosity.
Yeah, well, so the topics that we will do in, you know, the kind of big arcs are getting through Hawking radiation, but that also is, you know, I say we're setting up for Hawking radiation. Hawking radiation is setting us up then for the Hawking information paradox, for things like questions of the amount of information in the universe, which we need to talk about before we can talk about the holographic principle.
Cool.
So we're going to talk about the holographic principle, but prior to the holographic principle, we need some. Finally, we're going to need some string theory, and so there'll be. So I think we'll probably wrap up the Hawking radiation thing with the information paradox, and then we might need to back it up a little bit. Maybe talk about a little bit of string theory, but we also have a whole extra sort of cosmology arc. So there's, you know, now that we've talked about some quantum field theory, we can talk about eternal inflation with a lot more like meaning, and you know, the multiverse implied by eternal inflation.
Where just real like, are you a fan of string theory, or are you on the other side, like a Peter Voigt kind of?
I wouldn't say either. I tend to sit, but that's just because I'm not very nice, and the chair of the department is a string theorist, so I like to give him a hard time. I think that it's something maybe as strange as string theory. The apparent of this point leaves me agnostic, I have to say.
I have to say I love talking to Matt about string theory because I think you're slightly skeptical, critical of it in a healthy way. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I enjoy it when you kind of have misgivings or whatever, when you feel like you're moving in a certain direction of honesty towards your feelings towards something. So,
yeah, I should be careful though. I mean, it's not my field. So.
Yeah. You're always very measured. So I like to kind of push you to the edge to get you to start talking trash, but you will do that.
That Brian Greene is the worst.
Yeah. Well, Brian Greene, as far as I can tell, has never actually explained what string theory is. It's like, so there are these subatomic strings, right? And they vibrate. Cool. I think there was an XKCD comic. Yeah, I really don't know where that particular topic's going to go. I will try not to spend too long on it because particularly qualified, but you know, the holographic principle kind of depends on it. And also talking about some of the crazy ideas about what the insides of a black hole might really be like, fuzzballs, things like that. But this is all. This is going to take us next year to get through, I think.
Yeah, and Matt, you're currently working with another writer right now to help you tackle the arc of Hawking radiation, right? Because
right, yeah, I have some field theorist, I guess you would call him, who is a colleague at, and he's working very closely with me to make sure I'm accurate, and
yeah,
he's very good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great when we can incorporate other people that may not. I mean, because obviously you can't be an expert in every aspect at all times, and then there's only a finite time of research you can throw in. So there's it's great that if we can incorporate other physicists who might have a more specialized field, so that we can, because after over 2 years of episodes, we've obviously been diving into things that aren't necessarily always in your wheelhouse.
Right. Yeah, and the problem with this series is that physicists watch it.
Yeah,
which leads to trouble.
Yeah.
Do they really do you have a decent audience of them, or?
Oh, apparently. So, I mean, there are definitely a lot of undergrad and grad school, but there are some.
I'm always impressed by the view counts. Just a couple hours after your posts go up, before I even watch it, it's just rocketing up there. So it's awesome.
They're all physicists, Tamby.
Yeah,
every one of them.
It's basically CERN. Everyone just sits down.
Yeah. That surprised us. It still surprises us.
Well, there's also, Matt went to the Oculus conference. It was last year, maybe a year and a half ago, and there was a huge number of space-time fans at the Oculus conference.
What's the Oculus conference?
VR.
Oh, that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that. I just wasn't sure if it was something else.
Yeah. No, it's just it's interesting where the pockets of huge space-time fandom are. Where the people pop up. So it's always fun to connect. So why don't we?
Go for it. Go for it.
That's what I was going to say.
So, Mark, yeah, I mean, we will talk about not just string theory, of course, but all kind of potential theory of everything, quantum gravity candidates, absolutely. And regarding Lee Smolin, I think we should do an entire fecund universe episode. The idea that black hole is formed, a new universe is formed on the other side, whose fundamental constants are tweaked slightly and randomly from the original universe. And so that you can essentially get this evolution of universes. Every universe that's slightly better at producing black holes will produce more universes like it. And so that's evolution. And universes that are good at making black holes are universes good at making stars, and so presumably they're also good at making planets and astronomers. It's so speculative, but it's so fun. Fubas. If infalling matter experiences infinite time from an external perspective and black holes evaporate, what happens when you observe matter? What happens when you observe infalling matter until the black hole is gone? I'm not sure I understand completely. I may not understand completely, but the idea is when the black hole finally evaporates to Hawking radiation, then and it evaporates in finite time, then all of the last energy from that infalling matter, and indeed also its information, is released at the moment of final evaporation. But infalling matter, I mean, infalling matter doesn't take infinite time to reach the event horizon. It takes infinite time to see it reach the event horizon from far away.
So I guess the paradox he's pointing out is that if you're viewing the black hole, which is finite at some point, and the infalling matter, watching it hit the event horizon is infinite, then how does that work? How does that rectify?
Right. Well, so think about this as though you have photons trying to wiggle their way away from the event horizon, but they're trapped for eternity because you have this light speed cascade of space that the against horizon, and the photons do escape. And so in the final evaporation, you would expect every photon at that moment trapped at the event horizon to escape. But this is all, these sorts of questions is that the idea of the black hole as, you know, a point of stopped time, or at, you know, where time freezes at the event horizon, theoretical, idealized, you know, the sort of black hole that you represent with the Penrose diagram is highly theoretical. Holes, you know, they grow and decay, and you know, if something's trapped at the event horizon, then it is adding to the mass of the black hole. If things are still infalling, then Hawking radiation is so weak that if there's any feeding of the black hole, then it's not evaporating. But if you feed a black hole, and then theoretically everything that went into it from the perspective of an outside observer is at that event horizon. It is released as Hawking radiation during that evaporation. If you don't feed it again, then the black hole does shrink, and its mass is released in that Hawking radiation. And, you know, according to solutions to the information paradox, that information is released in the Hawking radiation as the black hole shrinks.
Cool.
That's as far as I've been able to nut out those details. But you know, I asked a bunch of black hole theorists this stuff, and it actually confuses them too. You know, this is
that, yeah, it's a tough nut to crack. Mark asks, he compliments you on doing a remarkable job on your broad range of physics topics, but is curious about what your specific areas of interest are.
So I do kind of like quasar and lensing astrophysics. So kind of quasars, for those who don't know, are black holes on their surrounding galaxies, and they shine bright. They shine brighter than an entire galaxy, and you see them across the universe. Figure out how these black holes grow and feed, and also observational lensing. So the light from these distant quasars by nearby galaxies to kind of giving up a little more information than it wants to map the crazy energetics of the structure of quasars. That's what I do in my when I'm not doing space time anyway.
And Fubar's asking, says, speaking of idealized black holes, when you mention black holes, you say this applies to non-rotating black holes when you've mentioned them in previous episodes. What exactly does rotating do to a black hole?
Yeah, we've avoided rotating black holes so far, but we shouldn't. On the outside, it changes their shape a little bit, so they go from a little bit squished because rotation changes the shape of the event horizon, because it changes the shape of the space around the black hole. It could result in is becoming locked just above the event horizon. It does. There are two things that I can think of offhand. It creates what's essentially a second horizon. The rotation of the black hole produces centrifugal force. Okay, it's a fictitious force, but it has a real effect. So the centrifugal force means that at some point below the event horizon, an outward kind of rush that this rotation causes, the centrifugal flow, matches the inward flow of space-time inside the black hole. And so there's inner horizon where, although when you drop below the event horizon, space is flowing faster than the speed of light, horizon where it's not flowing at all. And so for a rotating black hole, everything should get stuck at that second horizon. And so it should be this region of in energy density, and fall below that. Once you fall below that second horizon, then you approach the singularity. I don't really understand entirely why, but the singularity of a rotating black hole is so instead of being an infinitesimal point, a similarly narrow ring of infinite density, at least according to the of Einstein's general relativity.
Hey Matt, so let's make sure we get everything. What are you doing for your holiday?
To Florida. Okay, from
Florida, all right.
My family, her uncle and aunt's place, and it's gonna be a family Thanksgiving, and then to taking a little road trip straight after that for a couple of days, and then to San Francisco for a conference. As of a couple of days from now, it's going to be all trouble.
Joseph, what are your holiday plans?
Well, for Thanksgiving, it's going to be like it is every year, and I'm going to get really trashed with one of my friends and probably burn the turkey.
All right. All right.
American
Sounds like a good one. Camby?
Yeah, I'm old now, so I'll just be going by the family. My sister has 2 kids now, so I'll hang out with the nephew, niece, that kind of stuff.
Was there a time in
30
your
minutes
youth
west into
when
suburban Jersey, nothing too far.
Okay, cool. Was there a time in your youth where you had crazy Thanksgivings that were just
my youth was, I had stuff.
that stuff? Got it. Good.
What about you, Rusty?
I am staying in Brooklyn with family as well, and nothing exciting either. Just gonna enjoy having a day or two, just off, and hopefully off to some degree. And Fubar says he's having some Japanese friends over to show them a proper American Thanksgiving. That is awesome. That is the good spirit of inviting international visitors and having them over for the holidays. I wanted to make sure we had things on time because I know Matt has a deadline that he has to get out by 3. Is there anybody that has any? I want to thank David and Fubar and Tambi and Joseph and everybody for joining us on the call. And is there any burning questions that anybody wanted to get in?
No, but next time I have any questions, I will write them down.
Excellent. Good.
I do have a quick question.
Yes.
My understanding that black holes have never been directly observed, just their effects, and that Hawking radiation also has not ever been directly observed. Is that true?
That's true.
Okay.
I actually
week, for any sort of black hole that we've ever.
Yeah.
The smaller the black hole.
What did we observe?
Hawking radiation gets weaker the more massive the black hole, and so with the mass of something like the sun, which is sort of the minimum, or even much larger, 10 times the sun. It's completely unobservable at those distances anyway.
Cool. I remember when
we need to make one with the Large Hadron Collider, then we can see it.
In our last infinitesimal second before we were wiped out of existence. That'll be
weird. I saw a weird paper from, I don't know if he was a physicist, but basically theorizing that some ball lightning is like evaporating black holes. And he was using one specific example. I forget where it was. I mean, I'm sure it's a little wacky, but it's a little intriguing. I guess, depending on like.
Well, there are some logical models that should give you a large number of primordial black holes, and those masses, they could be. Some of them will be right now evaporating due to Hawking radiation.
Not everyone agrees, right, on how explosive that final evaporation is. I think, right, is what I read. Like
of what? Sorry.
Like the final evaporation of the black hole. There's disagreement, right, on how powerful or how energetic that is, or.
I don't know if there is a lot.
I read like really like nuclear weapon type like numbers, and then like lower amounts of.
Yeah. So the question is, evaporation speed up in the last stage. Yeah, I'm not going to. I was under the impression that it was pretty violent.
Oh, what do you know?
But it depends on what the match is. I mean, like once you start to get down to, grams or whatever, it's very fast. We'll have to do an experiment. I think, make a few.
Yeah. So I want to wrap this up. I want to say Klaus. I'm sorry for mutilating your name pronunciation. But thank you for coming in at the end with the question. I'm the producer of the show, and technically the cameraman as well. And we'll have other people who will usually join us on Google Hangout calls, which are the assistant editor and the graphics person.
I'm the president.
Intern joins us. Also, I wanted to announce that if anybody was a fan of Gabe, the first host of Space Time, he's just joined us on Infinite Series as one of the new co-hosts, and I'm pretty excited about that. And so everybody have a great holiday, and thank you so much for contributing and joining us on the call and being a part of the show. Really appreciate it.
You guys have a good holiday too.
Thank you.
Have a good holiday.
Bye, everyone.